Okay. All right. Let's get started. Thanks for coming. Welcome to Health Connect, New and Next. My name is Craig Lee. I'm a product specialist for Health Connect and also Iris, InterSystems Iris for Health. This session is all about brand new things in Health Connect. This is the agenda here for today's session. I'll start with a brief product vision, highlighting key themes, top themes for the product. Here's a graphic kind of illustrating some of the key themes that I'll be talking about. Then I'll talk about features that are new in 2019, followed by features that are coming in 2020. And for those of you who might be wondering, how is Health Connect really different from Iris for Health? I'll talk about some of the key differences between Health Connect and Iris for Health. And then we'll have a Q&A session after that. So what is Health Connect? So Health Connect is an integration engine that provides rapid interoperability for healthcare information. Here are the key themes for the product. The first is to lead the next wave of interoperability, especially HL7 FHIR. So FHIR is the new HL7 standard for the exchange of healthcare information. And the theme is all about interface building. So this is all about being able to quickly and easily build new HL7 or interfaces, which includes additional tooling to help you build interfaces quickly, especially to improve the usability for the experience of interface engineers. The third item here is a collection of different initiatives that we would call modern world imperatives, including API management, device interoperability, and also being able to provide Health Connect out in the cloud. So before delving into key features that are new in 2019, let me just quickly do a description of different releases that we have seen in the past year. Notably, we had Health Connect 2019-1 released back in April this year, and it is the first GA release of Health Connect that's based on InterSystems Iris data platform. It's highly significant. And recently, we had a preview release of Health Connect 2019 1.1, which is a maintenance release. And in addition to this, we've had updated releases of older Ensemble-based Health Connect or HSAP kits based on newer versions of Ensemble 2018 1.1 and 2018 1.2. And this was really mostly for application partners. So let's start with what's new. So here is a list of notable features that are new in 2019. Most of these are already part of the 2019 1 release of Health Connect, except for the one here, the InterSystems API Manager. This is completely new, and this is included in 2019 1.1 release. In addition to these new features, we have what we call interface engineer tooling. This is a large number, actually more than 20 different enhancements specifically built to improve the usability of Health Connect for interface engineers. So I'll be covering some of that later in the session. So let me now go through these features one by one. So in the area of healthcare interoperability, in 2019-1, we included support for FHIR STU3. So this is a version of FHIR. So right now we support both FHIR DSTU2 and STU3. And here are some of the key features, so including FHIR server and client components, supporting full FHIR RESTful API, and really especially in a message integration workflow. Also, we have object and message models for FHIR resources, as well as data transforms to convert FHIR into other formats via SDA. Also, there are FHIR-based IHE profiles like PixM that have been updated to support FHIR STU3. So talking about Fire for Health Connect, it's really important to note that Fire Resource Repository, which is all about direct storage of Fire resources in your application, that is only in Iris for Health, because now Health Connect is more strictly understood as an integration engine. So if you have a need to build a solution that needs Fire Resource Repository, then you would actually now need a separate license for InterSystems Iris for Health. So that's a key thing to note. So next feature that I would like to highlight is called Managed File Transfer, or MFT. And this is a powerful feature that allows you to make use of third-party file transfer services directly from within your Health Connect production. We currently support 3 different MFT services out of the box, namely Kiteworks, Dropbox, and Box. This is HIPAA compliant. Clients are already independently making use of these file services. So this feature allows you to directly incorporate these services into your existing integration workflow. So it's a very useful feature in integration. Related to this, again, in the area of integration, we have Java Business Hosts. So this is all about Java, where you can make use of external Java libraries directly from within your production to build out new protocols, perform complex analysis. It's easy to use. It's based on Java, so minimal learning curve. There is very straightforward to use because now these are exposed as business hosts within your production. So you can integrate very easily with external systems, now all in Java. So this is in line with the company direction of providing you additional flexibility, freedom to use different technologies and languages. So let's move on. So as I mentioned before, so now I'm going to talk about several notable features in the area of improving usability for interface engineers. There are over 20 different features. I don't have, it's too bad I don't have time to go through every single one of them. Here's some of them, notable ones. The first one is called, it's the new HL7 schema editor. So this is a new graphical user interface for it. It supports drag and drop to compose your own HL7 schema, to modify existing schemas, as opposed to before where things were kind of driven from a text editor with squiggly lines and brackets. So now it immensely improves a user experience. Related to this, we've added different enhancements to the DTL editor. Notably, there are new actions that have been added. There's an action for switch and case statement. There's a group action for logically grouping different actions together. Also, there's a comment action for directly injecting comments into your DTL. And there are other enhancements in the area of testing and search capabilities. The first one I would like to point out is the unit test of routing rules. So previously, we have the ability to do unit testing of DTLs directly from the DTL editor. So now you can do something very similar with routing rules from the business rule editor without having to actually run sample messages through the entire production. So this ability has been added. Second is is providing you the greater flexibility to work directly from your local computer. So things like downloading of messages, event logs, deploying of productions, things like that. You can do that directly from your local laptop, local to your browser. So here, there's a screenshot here that you can see we're downloading event logs. So you have an option to either store it onto the server, onto the host machine, versus you can pick the browser, which is directly onto your laptop. Interface maps. So this is brand new feature. This is essentially a powerful visualization tool for your production. And it allows you to search and list all the different routes that a message can take in a given production. So you can, for example, here you can see you can search for example, all the different routes that a message can take where a certain DTL is used with a certain name. So you could isolate all those routes, and you can drill in to see a graphical kind of representation of that message flow. And also related to this is an item called interface references search. And this is what I would call a find in files utility built for management portal. So right now in Studio, you could perform a find in files search, which is a text-based search for different source files, HL7 schemas. So now you can do something very similar directly from the management portal. So you can, for example, do search for all the different business components that make use of a DTL with a certain name. Things like that you can now do directly from within the management portal. There are many others that I don't have the time to go over, but all of the details of those features are in the documentation, so you could go take a look. All the features I've covered so far, they are already part of 2019 1 release of Health Connect. So let's switch gears a little bit. So let's talk about containerization of Health Connect. So this is completely new. Health Connect 2019 1 is the very first release of Health Connect that supports deployment in a Docker container, and which makes it suitable for deployment on public platforms such as Google and Amazon. Here's some of the key benefits of of containers, right? Fully portable, platform independent. And the thing to note here is that this is highly significant because this is really a first step for Health Connect in line with the direction that the company is taking towards cloud. So offering you different options, different solutions for Health Connect in the cloud as we move forward. Another key theme, one of the major themes for the product, for all of InterSystems products, it's all about API management. So what we call InterSystems API Manager, or IAM. So this is the API management offering for Health Connect. It offers you a central spot to monitor and control all your web-based API traffic. So it provides you the ability to do a full life cycle management of your APIs. So you can do things like throttle throughput, blacklist IP addresses. You can show different stats on the screen for your APIs. So it's a very powerful feature, now part of Health Connect as of 2019 1.1 release. There's several related sessions on this topic that you can go check out. I think recordings will become available after the summit. So stay tuned, because you will hear more and more about this additional enhancements for this, especially for Health Connect use cases. So I've covered a lot of stuff, a lot of content for 2019, and then the key thing to kind of note here is the main themes that I talked about. From 2019, they're continuing on into 2020. And so here is a list of the key notable items that you'll soon see in 2020. Most of these you'll see in 2020.1 release of Health Connect, which is expected in Q1 of 2020. Things like Fire R4 support, additional tooling for HL7 productivity. And additionally, in planning stages, we're considering to provide Health Connect in the cloud as a SaaS, or software as a service offering. So that's also in planning stages right now. So you'll hear more about that. So let me kind of go through these one by one just quickly. So in 2020, we will have a new look and feel for the management portal. You can kind of contrast the new page with the existing management portal here. The styling is a little bit different. The coloring is kind of simpler, relatively more modern looking, right? So you'll see that, but this is really more of a UX or UI kind of based change. In the area of healthcare interoperability, Lots of things are coming. The biggest thing is the coming of Fire R4, which is the latest Fire version. It's coming in 2020 of 2020.1, and we will include base specification level support for all Fire resources, as well as data transforms to convert between R4 and SDA. So this is commensurate with the level of support we provide for the current version, which is STU3. In the next phase, we'll also include a standard mechanism for supporting Fire profiles, as well as a way to validate different profiles for Fire. For IHE, this is a more of a transactional level protocol that governs healthcare system interactions. So we're adding 2 brand new IHE profiles. One is called IUA, and this is Internet User Authorization. This is all about handling user access tokens in web services. The second one is called XCAI. This is all about exchanging of DICOM images across multiple communities. So that's definitely coming in 2020.1. We're also considering several other profiles, many others, in fact. For example, we're considering RMD, which is about being able to remove documents from a document repository. Also, we will be attending IHE Connectathons in 2020, as we have done in the past, like every year. Additionally, for X12, there is now a renewed focus, renewed investment into X12. So you'll see additional new features and enhancements in that area in the near future. Notably, the first one is called XSD Schema Import. So this functionality allows you now to import X12 documents, schemas, directly into Health Connect. Previously, these schemas were available as SEF files, but now they have been phased out. It's now have transitioned into XSD files. So now there's support for you to directly import these schemas as XSD files. And there's a set of additional enhancements in the area of document validation. Notably, there's SNP level 1 and 2 validation. This is a HIPAA specified, HIPAA compliant document validation. Level 1 is really more of a structural validation, and level 2, there's a little bit of deeper kind of level of validation, such as checking the validity of code values, and checking the sequencing of segments and things like that. So those levels of validation, that's coming also in 2020. And at a more base or a transport level, we're adding support for MQTT, and this is highly relevant for the area of device or IoT interoperability. MQTT is a lightweight pub/sub-based messaging protocol. We're adding support for that. There will be built-in components such as inbound, outbound adapters. There are different business hosts that are built into the product that you can make use of for your different integration scenarios. We will support MQTT version 3.1.1. Okay, so let's kind of circle back to the area of interface productivity. So we now have a suite of different tools and features that we're labeling HL7 Productivity Toolkit. And these features are all about speeding up the creation and the migration of HL7 interfaces. So the first one here is called Production Generator. And this is where you can use a CSV file to specify key details of your interface. And it auto-generates a full-blown skeleton production in Health Connect that you can use to tweak and further customize. So you can significantly reduce time in building new interfaces. And the second one is called HL7 Migration Tooling. This adds another additional layer on top of the production generator. And what it does, it allows you to convert interface logic, including things like routing rules, data transforms, lookup tables. So you're able to convert that interface logic that's found in an existing interface engine like Cloverleaf, and it turns it into corresponding components in Health Connect. So for the initial phase of this feature will cover conversions from Cloverleaf and also Datagate or eGate. And as we move forward, we'll add additional support for other legacy interface engines. So there's a lot of activity there right now. The third one is called HL7 Message Analyzer, and this is all about analyzing inbound and outbound HL7 messages. So given these messages, this tool is capable of looking at the messages and deriving a set of or matching HL7 schemas to the level of proposing specific changes, including what Z segments you can use for a given interface. So you can reduce interface development, time and cost, because otherwise, this type of activity, you would actually need to do this manually, just going through different messages, trying to figure out, what is the right schema you can use. So, and there are other kind of features added to this that we're also considering, but these are the top 3 that we're looking at right now for the productivity toolkit. There is actually a separate session on this that you can go check out. Yeah, so you'll hear more about this in the near future. Here's a quick screenshot of the production generator. As I mentioned before, so actually there are 2 different CSV files. So the first one is really a CSV file for the configuration for the tool itself. The second one at the bottom, that's where you're kind of specifying the names of your interfaces, your services, port numbers, HL7 schema versions, and things like that. And that becomes the input, and the tool auto-generates a full skeleton Health Connect production for you. Here is another feature I would like to point out. Again, this is in the area of interface productivity. As the name suggests, this is all about managing ports. So this feature gives you a single place to view, what interfaces are using what ports across in what namespace. And there are additional functions like being able to reserve ports, being able to identify ports that might have conflicts. This is highly useful, especially when you have a huge number of interfaces across multiple namespaces. So this is a powerful management tool for you, especially for interface engineers. So here's a screenshot of this. You'll see this in 2020.1 release. So let's now talk about the cloud and containers as we look towards 2020. So as I mentioned before, it's right now in planning stages, but we do have plans to offer Health Connect as a software as a service or SaaS offering. We're tentatively calling it Health Connect as a service. Here are some of the key benefits: the cost savings. You reduce the cost of ownership by limiting infrastructure to what is only being used. There's definitely flexibility for faster deployment, things like increased scalability. The base security is provided by the cloud platform, and redundancy in terms of high availability, in terms of disaster recovery, that's also relatively easily supported in the cloud. So this is coming in the future. We're spending a lot of effort into this, so stay tuned. So before I end my overview of all these features that are new and up and coming, let me just do a quick kind of description of the key differences between Health Connect and Iris for Health. So on your left, we have Health Connect, HealthShare Health Connect. As I mentioned before, it's an integration engine that customers configure with minimal development. And now it's entirely based on Iris. As of 2019-1, it's based on Iris data platform, as opposed to InterSystems Iris for Health, which it's just like Iris. It's a development platform that developers use to build new solutions. So essentially, this is Iris data platform plus different modules for healthcare interoperability, plus the FHIR resource repository. So those are the key differences between the two products. In terms of upgrading to the new products, so we currently have two different paths for upgrade, and all depends how you're currently using the application. So for customers that are currently using Health Connect as strictly as an integration engine, we already have an in-place conversion mechanism in 2019-1 to go directly to the new Iris-based Health Connect. For those customers who are like AP customers who are currently using Health Connect as a development platform, we don't yet have an in-place conversion mechanism, but it's coming very soon, directly to Iris for Health. But it's coming soon. But if you have a need to upgrade right now, we also have a manual migration kind of strategy or procedure that you can make use of. So that's coming. So these are the key differences. Let me now do a quick summary. So here's a summary page, a list of different features we talked about, the things that are new in 2019 versus things that are coming in 2020, and the underlying kind of themes that are driving these changes. And the thing to note here is that we will continue to provide updates for all supported interoperability standards, like CDA, CCDA, and other standards like that. So that completes my overview. So let's start the Q&A. Okay. I hope maybe it was just too much info, but yeah, it was yeah.
Relative to Port Authority, is there any thought toward coordinating between environments? For example, we have our dev environment, our QA environment, and our production environment.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And we want to make sure that we don't reuse ports in any of those.
Sure.
So that we don't accidentally have one environment connect to a production port or something along those lines.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So is there any thought toward, in Port Authority, negotiating between the various environments so that we keep track across the entire enterprise?
Yes, so right now there is actually limited support to do that type of management across your enterprise. So it's not really confined to one instance. You could actually define ports. So it's actually where you're looking at, but you could actually define ports, connect out to other instances. So you could have an overview of all the different ports, but it's somewhat limited right now, but we are definitely looking into that area. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have one question.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So when we are looking at the rules,
Sure.
Are you guys working on opening the DTL right directly from the rules instead of going to the open and you see the list of DTLs?
Oh, yes. So okay, so that is in there. Yes. So that is a feature where the feature we're talking about is in a routing rule. There's a lot of times you have a DTL that's associated with a rule. So now there is an ability you can double click and it will take you directly to that DTL and open it in the DTL editor, as opposed to going and manually kind of finding that DTL yourself. Yeah. So there are many others. Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the production generator.
Oh, yes.
How more quicker is it than you basically have to think out everything as you would as in creating your own production. How much faster and time will be saved, you think, on that?
Right. So the initial kind of driver behind this, the production generator was to convert an existing integration engine into Health Connect. And a lot of times we noticed customers had this type of information in spreadsheets. Or for example, if you have Cloverleaf or some other integration engine, you could actually, if there's a way to, in a standard way, kind of represent the key pieces in CSV, then it auto-generates the production for you. So that's the kind of a main use case. So so we're not actually essentially talking about something that's that doesn't exist, and you're just creating things in the CSV, but it's really you have an existing interface and you want to represent it in some form so that you could easily convert to Health Connect. So this should be used in conjunction with, as I mentioned before, the migration tooling, which is about converting of the actual interface logic. And that's where a lot of the key pieces of the implementation lies.
So
Yeah.
wouldn't it be that if all the interface engine different vendors come together and create a standard saying if you fit this format, then you can.
Oh, right. Oh, yes. Sure. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. If all the vendors could come together and agree on a standard format. Oh, sure. Yes. Yes. Right. And if we could set that standard, yes. Yeah. Then that would be definitely ideal. Yep. But sure. Okay, go ahead.
Speaking of the production generator, is there any
Yeah.
thought to using that also like in a change control type of context? Because I could see it being really useful that way in terms of just managing,
Oh, right. Yeah, you bring up a very good point. We actually haven't considered that, but sure, I think that sounds like a very good use case.
And they said that it's not.
I was in that session yesterday.
Yeah.
They were definitely not. They would not think about it.
Sure. Yeah. First time I'm hearing about it. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. Sure.
Yesterday I brought that up, same question.
Okay. Yeah.
Can be integrated as part of a CCR. But what they said was this was in beta. So they said this was really in the beta testing.
Yes. Right. Yeah. So it's coming in 2020. So it's right now we're actually testing with a customer to kind of see what pieces are correct versus what's somewhat lacking. So
It
there.
also sounded like currently it's only importable. There's no exportable.
Right. Yeah. This is only importable. Yes. Right.
But for the same reason, it would be useful to be exportable.
Yes. Exactly. Yep.
So if you want to get this as part of 2019, then it has to be a beta then?
Right. So yeah, you can contact us. Right. So for right now, I would call it in beta kind of field testing mode. It's not finalized yet. For production generator, we're doing a lot of testing. Migration tooling still going through a lot of kind of testing and kind of like different implementation kind of pieces. But yes, you could get access to it. But let us know. Yeah.
So I'm going to try and get us back on track with using
Okay,
the
sure.
microphone.
All right. Yeah.
Since
Sure.
Since I screwed that up in the last session I was
Sure. Yeah.
in. Has any thought been given to documentation as far
Right.
as, because most of
Yeah,
us
yeah.
are interface engineers in
Sure.
here, and we are responsible for producing documentation for our interfaces. We're building
Of course. Yeah.
our interfaces in our production. We have this one button on the production panel
Yeah,
that
yeah.
produces documentation, but it's like for everything in one big data dump.
Right.
You're making great strides in certain areas with
Yeah.
the interface maps,
Sure.
for example. But it would be fantastic if we could go to, that same panel for
Yeah, yeah.
a given service or operation or process. And
Sure.
press a button and
Yeah.
dump everything that's related to that interface, the DTLs, the routes,
Right,
the
right.
graphics. That would be, pretty cool.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sure. For the. Okay. Let me actually try to find that slide. Yeah. So for the interface maps, there will be a button to export. So at least that should help in creating documentation, right? But obviously it's not enough, right? So
Well, something that ties it all together.
Sure.
In to out.
right.
This is a good start.
Okay.
Port numbers, IP
Sure.
addresses, all of
Oh,
that.
okay, right.
Given set of
Sure.
interfaces would be-
Okay.
You could select the process and do an export, and it will give you all the data transformations, routing rules, custom functions.
But it doesn't show the relationship between them, that's the problem. It just is a list.
Oh, you just need a list.
No, I want something that shows a map of my interfaces.
You want the visual
Like,
representation.
kind of like this.
So,
Okay.
So
But
like the print button on this screen.
sure.
Print out all.
Right. But you're saying you're expecting additional information like port numbers, right? Okay. Yeah, I think that's very good to
A lot
add.
of customers that I work with
Sure.
have standards for their documentation.
Okay,
They've
yep.
got to show what DTLs and what routing rules,
Sure.
what hosts are involved
Okay.
for a given set of interfaces.
Right. So,
That's-
so
rather than typing it all up, it would be great if you did it for them.
yeah, sure. So right now, when you drill in, so the key components for interface maps is we're talking about the business hosts, the services and operations. You have the DTLs, the routing rules. So those are you can show you service, process, role, transformation, operation. So these are kind of the key pieces we're pointing out. As far as I know, the screenshot doesn't show it, but there should be a button to export that out. I don't know how that closely matches your kind of expectation, but obviously, we could put additional info.
Big step in the right direction.
Yes. So please do reach out to your sales engineer, and you could actually make an enhancement request, and we'll definitely include that as we look at our future release for Health Connect. Okay. Oh, all right. It's just lots of questions.
Yep. So I have a
I
question
need one more
about
person.
the Health Connect versus the Iris.
Oh yes, yeah, right.
Yeah, so we're on Health Connect, but doing a lot of just interface engine type stuff.
Sure.
And then we've also been in courses about Iris to say just recompiling code is just the same code is much faster because just the way it processes back in.
Sure. Yeah.
If Health Connect 2019 is based on Iris, you
It is.
get that built in.
Yes.
Like you get a lot of that, just the core speed or enhancements of Iris itself.
Right. So in terms of how things are built, it's now it's directly built on Iris as opposed to Ensemble. So all the different kind of capabilities and enhancements in terms of performance you will directly inherit that now in Health Connect. So
Right. So the big difference is really
it's
whether
really
or
the
not you
use.
need the file repository.
Exactly.
Okay,
The key difference is what are you using the product for? So if you're using it for integration as an integration engine, then you should stick with Health Connect. But if you have needs to do additional development, build out additional solutions, then you're looking at Iris for Health. So even if you're currently using Health Connect only as an integration engine, but things are coming in the near future, to build things, then we highly recommend that you consider Iris for Health, or at least get a separate license for that development.
And this there's not a go forward non-Iris Health Connect
No.
as of right. Okay.
Right. So we are continuing to support older ensemble based Health Connect, but again, this is really mostly for application partners. But moving forward, yes. So basically, all the new features that you're seeing, it's all gonna be done in Iris. Any other questions? So I guess you're all happy, right? With Health Connect. So in 2020, yes, of course. Sure. Okay. Yeah. On that note, yeah. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Much appreciated. Thank you.